You're live. Oh, yay. Exciting, exciting, exciting. Well, my name is Alexis Logan. I am the creator of Soul Freak and Wealth Code, and I'm super excited to be with you guys tonight, interviewing one of my favorite people in the whole wide world, Jennifer Chakotay. Jennifer and I go way back, like 2017, I think, way back. Was it 2018?
Or 16.
16. Ooh, am I going to be 16? um, and we've worked together off and on as I'm supporting Jennifer to build out her businesses and really put her amazing work out there. And for me, the joy is working with people who have very unique takes on like in the healing industries and spirituality, and people who are on the edge innovating their industry really. And Jennifer encompasses all of that. I cannot wait to for her to tell you everything she's been up to. And yeah, this is going to be such a great talk tonight, especially about the new work that she's doing. So one thing that we would love for you to do, hey Catherine, thank you for joining us, is we may not all be able to see your names when you guys comment. So if you could always put your name and your next to your comment, that would be great. Unless you give StreamYard permission to basically use your name so we can see what your name is. Okay. So we'll just go ahead and just dive right in. So Jennifer, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, we'll start there.
Start there. Hi, Jennifer Takagi, and I'm in Oklahoma City. And I have been an entrepreneur for just over 8 years now. And I've loved playing with Alexis and getting so much, guidance and insight from her. And we actually started together like in a spiritual connection, and then like moved into the whole leadership, corporate entrepreneurship piece. And then we circle back and we're back in the woo world. I think you call me witchy woo.
I do call you witchy woo because it's so fun, and you've opened up this whole skill set you didn't even know that you had, doing amazing things out in the world now.
I know.
So I know that many people know you for your corporate training and corporate side, and they're probably wondering, like, how did you move into this new space? So I would love for you to share how you went from corporate trainer, doing that amazing work, helping people build teams and inner leadership, into spirituality and energy work.
Well, I always had, a hint of that spiritual side. I would get messages. And for many people who will see this, know that on the day of the Oklahoma City bombing, I called in sick because I was sick, but I was really led to calling it in sick because I literally had a voice from above say, stay home and take care of yourself. And that just opened up more of an interest, if you will. And going back way before that, I remember we had a family friend who was a surgeon, and his wife had surgery with no anesthesia. She used hypnosis. And I can remember talking to my mom about that. And I was like, how does that even happen? So I think I've had my toe in and out of it for years. And then in 2020, I met a spiritual healer and went on a journey with her. And I just got on this path and stayed on it and loved it and decided to go all in. And so I still do training for the great state of Oklahoma. I still am hired to speak at various places, but my heart is really with the one-on-one transformations that happen working with clients with energy work.
Love that. Love that. So I think one of the biggest misconceptions about energy work is like, what exactly is it? How does it actually work? What is it? How does this fit in terms of religion, and where do I categorize this, and where do I put this? Because you hear the stories about people who've gone to different healers, had different experiences, right? And it's still in this space of, yeah, energy work works and can help to resolve a lot of issues. But how do you square that with traditional religion?
Well, that is a great question. I've had that come up many times. And I want to say that it's a both and for me. And I'm a Christian. I believe in religion. I love going to church. I love the structure of that. So for me, religion is a structured way to commune with God in a group setting, in a community setting where you have support from other people that have similar beliefs. And spirituality is my personal relationship with God and my personal choice on how I want to engage and interact. And when you look at a lot of the energy work that I do, it is truly inspired by God, and it is, a holy thing. So it's a both and for me. I can be spiritual and religious at the same time. So they work together for me.
I love that. I love that. I love how you positioned it too, because a lot of people don't know where to categorize it, and it's either you're this or you're that, or and there's no really in between. And how do we bring it? How do we bring it together? Because this is something that's been happening for thousands of years. As humans have been on this earth, learning how to do different things, working with energy. It is a both and you kind of find your way into what that looks like for you, and it's an individual experience. So, in your opinion, what is the purpose of energy work?
Well, there is so much more out there than we even know. And when I am either working with on myself, for myself, or with clients, it's a matter of connecting with the subconscious, because our subconscious minds are so much more powerful than we even give it credit for, unless you really spend some time in it. And so energy work is just setting the intention to make something happen, to manifest it, to create the reality that we want. And with our powerful minds, we're able to do it. There was back, I'm not going to remember the year, but there was a study done at NASA, and there was a space station out there with astronauts in it. And they said at noon every day on Earth, everybody in NASA was going to think of one word, and everybody was going to think that same word at the same time. And then the astronauts at that same time were going to see if they could get the message of what that word was. And they weren't using any technology at all. It was just like what time of day it is. And like 98% of the time, the astronauts got the right word. And it was because everybody was focused on the same thing. And energy work is the same thing. We focus on what we want to adjust, align, balance, correct, bring in, let go in a very focused, intentional way.
And so, with that focus, then everyone's able to tune in to the same energy in that moment and be interconnected to each other and really know. And I think that also sparks a lot of, I know for me, I've been in this world for like over 10 years and I'm still in awe. Like, I still love hearing these stories because I'm always in awe. Like, this is the power, and there's always more unraveling and multiple layers to go through, right? And so when taking that focus and really leaning into the connection that we can have with each other and ourselves, what do you think in terms of the power of energy work that maybe people aren't like getting? You know, is there anything that stands out to you that is even just something you want people to know about the power of?
So I think I would want to say that it's a both and with modern medicine, because one thing somebody asked me once is, so did you throw all your prescriptions away and you're never going to go to the doctor again? And, the answer is no. I'm a both and kind of girl. And so I think it's the lack of belief in the power of our minds, the power of beliefs, the power of intention. And I think that's the piece that gets missed a lot.
And you mentioned, modern medicine and how this is not a replacement. We're not kicking everything out the door. We're not saying don't go to the doctor. Like it's every all encompassing thing. How do like in your experience, how do you see it fitting with modern medicine?
Well, again, I think it's a both and. Um, if you can create alignment and balance within your physical and energetic body, then whatever steps are taken with modern medicine and pharmaceuticals, they work better and they have a better chance of helping you resolve the problem. So, like, I have knee issues and I just love taking anti-inflammatories because it helps. And with doing energy work also, I have substantially less pain. I have substantially less struggle getting around and doing the things I want to do. But I'm not going to give up my anti-inflammatories at this point. Like, I'm still going to do that. Um, physical therapy is like a magical thing. So, like, I would never quit doing physical therapy like after a surgery or something. So, I see it as just creating an alignment between the two.
Again, no one's saying check your doctor out the window or don't go to the doctor for evaluations or anything like that. So, so your body of work, you have a few bodies of work that you do work with, mainly emotion code and body code. Can you share what those are and sort of give some background into the development of that work?
Yeah, so I was looking just before we started to see if I could hold the book up, and of course, I have it buried on my desk and I can't lay my hands on it. But Dr. Bradley Nelson is a chiropractor, and he, through his practice, realized that people would have trapped emotions from traumatic events. And it could even be not a traumatic event, but it was an unprocessed emotion that got trapped in the body. And these trapped emotions were inhibiting healing. And so you think you dealt with that thing that happened in first grade when the teacher said, "Boy, you're not very artistic, are you?" But you realize that you have brought that forward for the next 30, 40, 50, whatever years. And so it's finding a way to identify emotions around sometimes very specific situations that you can let go of so that you can clear that and move on. And the body code was like his next baby. Um, and it's a very sophisticated um, grid, if you will, that takes you down a path to address emotional, physical, structural, muscular, nutritional, and energetic, spiritual type imbalances in the body. And literally, with your subconscious, you create alignment. And if you have alignment, then the body's innate ability to heal can be charged up and kicked in and help your body heal from what's ailing you. So I just stumbled upon the book. I don't remember if somebody recommended it or not, but once I got hold of the book, The Emotion Code, I was off to the races.
So just for clarity, emotion code just deals with like the emotions that are stuck in the body. So that's kind of where the work started. And then it sounds like it graduated into body code, which is a whole system developed on looking at these emotions and how they're not being processed in the body and how the body code helps see those emotions and energy flowing again.
Yes, on my end, you froze up for a second, but yes, I think that is exactly right. And with trapped emotions, it impacts your physical body as well. So I worked with a client and months later, and all we worked on were emotions. We didn't even discuss body code. It was only emotions around some long-term illnesses she had been experiencing. And I texted her one day, like 4 months later, and I said, "Hey, I just wanted to touch base, see how you're doing." And she said, "I still have all my illnesses, but I can just tell you inside, I feel better." And I didn't even realize it until weeks later. And then it was like, I feel a lot better. So you address the emotional, and the physical sometimes can follow too.
I love that. I love that. You have some amazing stories. So in general, you do. I mean, I love hearing the stories in all of our sessions. In general, what areas do you specifically focus on when it comes to the emotion code and body code work?
Yeah, so it turns out that people have kind of fallen into three categories of the work that I've done. And one category is literally the physical issues and ailments that somebody has. And it's creating that alignment so the body can heal. And probably the most amazing story is my friend Carla, who had a hip replacement and woke up and couldn't move her leg. Like she could not lift her leg. So we started doing body code work together. And because we're using your subconscious, the client's subconscious, we were able to drill down to a specific muscle in the hip that was out of alignment. And she went from not being able to lift her leg for 2 solid years to the week. We got the calendar out. It was like within 24 hours of her surgery, 2 years later, she was able to lift her leg. And now she can do so much with it. Like she is so close to taking the special apparatus off her car so she can drive with her right leg again instead of only using her left. So that's probably the most rewarding and exciting thing ever. So the physical ailments, I've had quite a few people with severe allergies go from hands full of allergy medicine to none. And so having suffered allergies my whole life too, I pretty much have quit taking Allegra. I took it every day for over 10 years, and I took care of my own allergies. So that physical piece of it is huge. The other piece is I'm just going to lump it all into anxiety, because anxiety, depression, overwhelm, all those negative emotions that keep you from moving forward kind of seem to um, kind of snowball together. And I have gotten messages from clients that have said, I slept for the first time all night in years, because you release that anxiety, you get that balance, and then you can sleep. So that whole anxiety, depression, emotional slash mental kind of piece has been a really big piece of it too. And then the third piece has been business slash abundance. And I have had clients who were very unclear if they should really even still be doing what they were trying to do, because they weren't getting the success and the headway and the momentum that they desired and deserved to get and to have. And once we released the trapped emotions and created balance within their body, their businesses just turned around just very quickly. So it's kind of falls into physical, emotional, mental, and business is kind of how I can typically categorize clients that come to me and want to address something.
That's amazing. So, like on average, when people are working on like the physical body, not being able to lift my leg, how many sessions on average does it take for people to start seeing results in relief?
Sometimes it's very quick. I had one client who um, had a long-term ankle injury, and she would go to yoga, but there were certain poses that she couldn't do that she had always been able to do. And she suffered this pretty traumatic sprain. And we did literally one session of the body code. And the next day she texted me and said, I went to yoga this morning. I could do every single pose for the first time in 2 years. My ankle was excellent. but I dropped a tray of silverware on my other foot and it's all swollen up. Can you do something for me?" And I was like, "Yes, of course. Let's see what we could do." And a couple days later, she texted me and said, "Yeah, man, I just have a little bruise on my foot where I dropped that whole drawer, and my other ankle is still good." So sometimes it's instantaneous. Like you isolate it, you address it, you move on. Other times it can take longer, especially if you're dealing with some long term issues like allergies. Sometimes we've had those allergies a long time, and there are a lot of like compound factors that involve. So after like 6 sessions, most people are really good. And what I found is people like to do one session, see how it goes, that they typically turn around and come back and say, "I want to do more work."
Yeah, I love that. So then in terms of the people who are more on the anxiety, depression, not sleeping, on average, like how many sessions does it take to usually resolve those issues?
Um, Transformation takes a little bit of time, but I think most clients see an improvement after one or two, but after at least six, they are really on the road. Because again, a lot of things go into causing anxiety, causing sleep disorders. And so it's going to take a little bit, oftentimes, to clear that out. But again, if people are firm believers that they can heal themselves. And I'm just a catalyst. I am not a healer at all. I'm a catalyst for it. I just help create the alignment. The clients who are really all in do have faster results. The people who are a little bit, yeah, prove it to me. Prove it to me. I
It
had
took me a little
one.
bit longer.
Well, it's like, "Dear God in heaven, please bring rain," and it doesn't rain for 2 days, and you're like, "Yeah, it didn't work." Well, okay, maybe. But I had one client, and she stepped off a curb and rolled her ankle, and so we just like threw it in as part of a session. We were working on something else, and I said, "Well, we have a little time. Is there anything else?" And she said, "Well, I rolled my ankle." I was like, "Okay, well, let's see what we can do for your ankle." And it was probably 5 or 6 days later, I ran into her. She's a friend of mine, and, I love it when friends become paid clients. And she said, "You know, we talked on Sunday night, and I woke up Monday, and my ankle still hurt." And I thought, "I don't think that worked. Like, I don't think that worked." And she goes, "And it wasn't until Tuesday afternoon it dawned on me, I hadn't even thought about my ankle one time since Monday morning when I got up and said it still hurt. That didn't work." So, um, yeah, that was super fun. Like, it was gone. Her ankle hasn't been a problem since.
Yeah, a lot of these conditions that we're dealing with, it takes, I just remember when I used to get allergy shots, right? And it was, every week or sometimes twice a week, depending on what it is. And to see that resolve within like 1 to 6 sessions and to see improvement, after one, that's amazing. That is amazing at how the body, when it's brought back into alignment, can heal as quickly as it does. With that, what is, I don't want to phrase this, when you're looking at what people are really moving through when they're doing this healing process? I mean, I can imagine it goes pretty deep. Does this always go back to, let's say, childhood stuff, or is it stuff that happened last week? Like, just to give some people an idea of like how deep this goes to really resolve these issues.
Well, the interesting thing that I've seen with this work is whatever caused the issue today in most of my clients stems back to something as a young child. So we have a feeling of, say, unworthiness, and we nail it down that it happened at age 8. And oftentimes the client will say, "I don't even know what happened at 8 years old. Was that second grade? Was that third grade? I don't even know." And the beautiful thing is you don't have to remember what happened because it showed up, the subconscious brought it to the surface. Now we're going to clear it out, and you may or may not ever remember. So my one client, like every single thing that came up in that session happened at 6 years old. And she said, nothing happened at 6. I had a perfect childhood. I don't know what you're talking about. And 3 days later, she called me and she said, I know exactly what it was. There was a big move within the family. They moved states, which for a 6-year-old is very traumatic, right? Lots of stuff comes up. And just because you have a trapped emotion of unsupported or unworthy, it doesn't mean it comes up all the time. It shows up probably at the least opportune moment, but it's not like you're feeling it all the time. One client said, I don't feel that way. That's wrong. Well, it's not that you feel it every day, every moment, but it's there in the background. It's just like a little whisper. And when you need it the least, it's going to whisper, yeah, you can't do that. And so that's kind of the interesting piece of it. Most of my clients, most of the things were trapped before the age of 20. However, I had a client whose brother was tragically murdered, and she was very close to him and had obviously lots of emotions around it, even a number of years later. So all of her trapped emotions that were so significant were the few years after his death. And so, well, murder actually, but and so they were much more recent than some other clients. So it kind of depends on what it is. But the beautiful thing is the subconscious mind does not ever want to hurt you. And you're not going to remember the event with the emotion tied to it if it's going to cause you harm. The subconscious will keep it back and it'll share it later, or it will never share it. One client said, I'm going to have to really think about what happened. And I was like, no, you don't. Just let it go because it doesn't matter. It does not matter. The only reason to even get the age is sometimes a day or two later, it'll come up and it'll be like, oh, yeah, I know what that was. Hey, Tamara Milliken, thanks for joining. Yeah, so the age doesn't really matter, but sometimes it
What were you saying?
The age doesn't always really matter, but it can be kind of good for clients to figure out like what was going on in their life at that point.
Yeah, and I love that you pointed that out because sometimes, we're kind of mostly taught in our culture that if stuff happens to us, you get up, you brush yourself off, you move on, right? That's the pattern. You get up, you brush yourself off, you move on. And what I love that you illustrated with that, and it had me even thinking for myself, like, oh, like how are we actually compounding from childhood stuff that I even had, and how is that influencing my body and the results that I have in my life right now that maybe I'm thinking, oh, I just brushed that off. It wasn't a big deal. It turns out to my subconscious that was actually kind of a big deal and something that does need to be addressed. It does make you think like, oh, like maybe my elbow pain really isn't just because I've been playing too much tennis or pickleball or something, right? And I think that I love that because it gives us holistic look to how we operate as human beings in just throughout our daily lives and how our body, does and our experiences do keep the score and it does go somewhere. It doesn't just get up, we doesn't brush off somewhere, it brushes somewhere off in the body.
Well, and you often hear, because in our society it's, pick yourself up by the bootstraps and move on and go on, and then we often become very judgmental. Well, why can't they get over it? Well, why can't they move on? And I'm sure I've said that myself. I'll just out myself first. I'm sure I've said that looking at people. But now I really understand. It's like the building blocks, because you can't really go to second grade unless you mastered first grade, right? And so now all of a sudden you're 30, 40, 50, 60 years old saying, well, I did okay. Why can't they? Well, did you really do okay? Was that the best life had for you? And I think we all have the potential for more and for better and more success and happier lives and more peace and joy.
Definitely. I think we reach a point where I think it's as good as it gets, but is it really? Could there actually be more if we sorted through stuff that was going on, inside of us, to see what else is available? I think we're also taught to live with the pain. Oh, this is just the way it is, and this is how far, science can take you with this without looking at other alternatives as well. Just lots of food for thought. And I hope people who are just watching this are like, oh, how can I learn the different things going on with me? Like, what if life can be better? What if there could be better functioning in your daily life? What if you were, able to stop like the spinning in your brain at night and just be at peace and go to sleep and get a full night's rest? Okay, I love all of this. So, if people are, um, you know, looking to work with you, how do you usually work with your clients?
I work with my clients virtually. It's over Zoom. I do have a few clients that just want to be on the telephone. They don't want to see me and they don't want me to see them. And that is fine. But it's typically over Zoom. And it's an hour long experience to go through the process. It is typically the best results if the client picks one main thing they want to address and work through. And if we have time and they want to throw something else in, like a sprained ankle, then, great, we can do that too. But I have found some clients who did multiple sessions, but they picked something different every week that we met. I mean, they thought they had a great experience, but I personally don't think that they got the highest benefit from it than if we had stuck to one topic and just keep going deeper and deeper and get rid of it. So typically a session is an hour, and it's client's choice on what they want to work on and either resolve or clear or heal, whatever they want to work on.
Love that. So you are accessible just through the phone or through Zoom with your clients, and it's big. It just feels like so. Again, you don't have to be in person for this. Like, how
Right.
that?
If NASA can communicate with astronauts without technology, then I think we can do this with a little Zoom or a phone call.
I love that. So for people watching, what's the best way to get in contact with you?
I'm sorry, with people watching what?
People watching, what's the best way to get in contact with you to learn more about your
Oh,
work?
yes. I am going to drop a link in here to book a discovery call, and it's free. There is no obligation. And oops, wrong button. Don't you love that? And we can talk about it and see if they believe and we believe that we could work together. And let's see, enter. No, it didn't enter. Here we go. There we go. And see if I think I can help them and if they think that I'm a good fit to work with them also.
Awesome. So if they are looking to connect with you outside of Facebook and this space, where else can they find you on the interwebs?
Yes. I'm kind of everywhere, Alexis Logan.
What was the best way to other than Facebook?
Yeah. Facebook, LinkedIn. Those are probably the two best. Instagram also. I'm Jennifer Jaggers Takagi on Instagram. So yeah, there too. Or just book a quick call. Again, no obligation. We can just talk about what's going on with you and if there's any way I might be able to help you.
Love that. Well, thank you so much for this conversation tonight, for coming on and sharing your work with the world, because it's amazing. Is there anything else you want people to know before we
Well, I just want to say there's just more possibility out there. There's more possibility. There's more for all of us. We are all destined for success. And the question is, how fast do you want to get there?
How fast do you want to get there? Well, hey, I'm always about the lightning fast. Can we be there now? Thank you very much.
Yesterday, like so yesterday.
Actually, thank you so much for sharing yourself with us, sharing your work with us, and to everyone watching this. Check her out. This work is amazing and will definitely shift the trajectory of your life, how you're living on a daily basis, and also fast forward with your business. Thank you so much, Jennifer, again, and we'll see you guys later. See ya.
Thanks, Alexis.